Okay, we've been playing with the ScanNCut from Brother. It's really an amazing unit, and a lot of questions I've received is, will it do wool felt? So I'm going to test that today to see what transpires. One thing that you want to remember about when you're doing fabric is that the fabric must be starched and it should be crisp. You don't have to have fusibles on it, of course. You know, with this unit, other units you do, but this one, it doesn't require that. But what you want to make sure is that the fabric is nicely starched. And since wool felt has a depth to it, and it's a very wonderful, natural, spongy fiber, in order to get all of the fibers to be crisp, that's a little bit more than just a simple spray starch. So what I did is I took my Perfect Sew. This is something that's put out by Palmer & Pletch, but it's a thick liquid stabilizer. It's been out for years, and it kind of turns your fabric more into a cardboard type texture, so that way it's very crisp. It's much crisper than you can ever get with a spray starch, even a starch alternative. So the thickness of this is somewhat like, kind of like honey, and it needs to completely dry in order to be stitched on, because otherwise it's very goopy. So regular fabric will dry quickly. Batiste, this is beautiful for working with batiste fabrics, because then you get absolutely no puckering of any kind of stitches or anything like that. So my theory is, with Perfect Sew, I should be able to get my wool felt stiff enough in order to put it through the ScanNCut. This is a pattern that we had featured at one point in time in our stores, and it's really quite fun. It's a kit to hand embroider little cute felt ornaments, and this is from a gal, Rachel Pellman, and they're really cute. So what I did is it's a pre-done kit, and I took the pieces and I treated it with Perfect Sew, and I must tell you, my felt pieces are quite like cardboard now. So, and I did this yesterday, so it did take overnight to dry, and I've put them on my fabric mat, and you can tell it's a fabric mat because it has the purple band at the bottom. I also have a fabric carrier sheet on there, and I did scan this pattern, and I gotta tell you, I was a little concerned about it because it's a booklet. And there's the pattern I scanned, was this one right here. But it did beautifully. In fact, let me load this sheet real quick so I'm not just sitting here holding it. Okay, so the sheet's loaded for me. I'm going to say pattern because I did scan it and I saved it because I was doing other things at the same time. So I'm going to go in here to save data, and it's in the machine, not on a memory stick, but I scanned it right into the machine. So then I can just scroll down through the other things I was working on, and there is the design that we scanned. So it went from the original pattern here. Can you see? I know I'm zoomed in. Look, it has words, dotted lines, all that sort of stuff on it. But look at how clean of an image it came up with. It totally ignored all the words and everything, so I was really, really excited about how well this turned out. I thought for sure I might have some word issues on the outline of the little scarf, which you can see right here above the little snowman star. Now I'm going to say okay to bring that in, and this button right here is my scan. So when I touch this, it's going to scan the background because I have all that felt loaded onto my mat, and I want to place my pieces right where they should go. And I don't want to measure and try to figure out where my felt is. I just want it to work out perfect without me doing anything. That's the point, right? Okay, so can you see in the background? Those are my felts. So I have my dark green, my light green. I've got my red, my brown, my yellow, my black, and my white. So now, I'm not working with the oatmeal colored felt right now, which is used for the mitten, so I'm going to delete that piece. Now it's not deleting it from my machine's memory, it's simply deleting it from this working screen. And I can tell from my picture that my little my scarf, this little scarf piece needs to be on the dark green, which is in the upper left hand corner, so I can just drag him over here, and then I can also, if I want to fine tune, I can nestle it left, right, up, down that way. Now this part of the scarf, the hang down part of the scarf, goes on the red. So I'll just touch and drag it down here. And of course it does come with a stylus, which is probably a little bit more preferable to use. It reacts better to a stylus than it does the pad of your finger, but since I have nails, it seems to work nicely there. Okay, so then I can take him. Now if I want to be, need to angle him, I can rotate him or do whatever I want. All right, so I have my deep cut blade in. I've got my felt matted, it's to the mat. So let's say okay, and then we'll say okay again because I'm done. And look at the odd placement on the screen of my elements. It has left the pieces isolated, which looks odd to the screen here, but we know that it lines up with the fabric where we need that to go. And then all I have to do is say cut. And once I say cut, then I can start it and we'll watch it do its work. Okay, now it's done. One thing to remember is that I do have the thick cut fabric blade on here now, and I did set the depth appropriately for the thick fabrics. So now I'm going to say okay, which is the prompt on the screen, and then I am going to unload the mat so we can give it a try. So let's see what it did here. Look, there's my piece. I have a couple little fuzzies I needed to trim, but there I've got my little piece there. So, oh, there he is. There's the scarf piece. And I think I'm going to take the rest of them out here. Kind of hard to, ooh, there he is. Isn't that beautiful? Look at how well it did the wool felt. And then my last piece is the scarf. So there are my elements. I've got this one, and this one. So it does a beautiful job and very clean cuts. One thing to know about the Perfect Sew is that it washes out very simply. It's probably the easiest thing to get rinsed out. So I'm excited. So I'm going to try stitching these up and see how it turns out. Okay, here's what I did. I just used decorative stitches from my machine. I used some of the antique hand embroidered stitches so it had a heavy look and looked a little bit more like floss. But with the Perfect Sew on these guys, because I haven't rinsed it out yet, so the colored felt, well, everything but the mitten is really stiff. But it really took the decorative stitches very, very well. For the next one I do, I might go ahead and treat the wool felt for the mittens, then the machine will cut those out for me too. Isn't this terrific? Okay, well I hope you go and have lots of fun with your ScanNCut and share with us what you've done with yours.